Hey, you guys, hope you're well. I just wanted to take this opportunity and let you know about our amazing new business scalability scorecard. So have you ever wondered if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, and you want to grow and scale the business, but not sure how, and you're looking for some advice and you're looking for some strategies about how you could effectively grow and scale your business? Well, this is your opportunity. We have actually created an amazing business scalability scorecard. It'll take you around 7 to 8 minutes. And at the end of that, it will actually create a report of all of the things that you're doing particularly well in and the things that you need to make improvements to your business. And it's a great tool and a great asset for your business. To get free access to that, go to bit.ly/business-scalability-scorecard. Go there, go now. Take care, see you soon.
This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by Productivity Authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game Changers Show. Hope you're well. Yeah, as you can see, I have lots of energy today. I'm excited purely because of our great guests that we've got lined up. I'm excited about where the conversation is going to go. Yeah, listen, I hope you guys are having a great week like I am. It's been a really interesting week. And yeah, and actually, I wanted to kind of share with you, I'm actually taking my first flight this week. Is the first time in 7 months. And it's like, oh, that's weird, right? Do you know what I mean? Like when you haven't done something for I travel so often. Well, I used to travel so often. And when you haven't, then you try to go back to what you used to go back to. It's like, oh, that's just weird. Anyway, so literally, I'm excited about today, as I always am when we bring in some awesome guests on the Game Changer Show. We are here to have fun. We're here to interact. We're here to have questions. And literally today's guest, I remember when he reached out to me and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool and we'll talk about one of my favorite all-time movies as a child. And it kind of brings back sort of memories around that. And I'm sure it probably will be with some of our guys here as well. So who have we got on today's show? Well, on today's Game Changer Show, we have a guy called Angus Kennedy. Who is Angus? Angus is a TV personality. He's got 8 different books, actually. He's got decades of experience in the chocolate industry. So this guy gets paid to be an expert at tasting chocolate, which is kind of cool, right? That's a pretty cool job. He's got a publishing company as well, and we'll talk about that in a second. That's going to be a really interesting question that we're going to go down to, and we're going to really open up the questions here. And I'm probably we'll see where this is going to go, because I'm really like super excited about how today is, because today's a really interesting guest that we've got on today. I'm not saying that all of our guests are not interesting. I'm saying this is we've got someone who's come from a very different background, very different industry, something that we all like. Like, who doesn't like chocolate? I mean, seriously, I'm more of a dark chocolate person than a milk chocolate person, but hey, that's that. But listen, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I hope you are too. And we're ready to rock and roll. So put your round of applause for Mr. Angus Kennedy.
Hello. I love that energy. Amazing. You're making me really pumped up now as well. So thank you for having me on the show. It's a great introduction. Thank you.
Hey, welcome. But who needs chocolate when you've got sort of Adam injection? I mean, I haven't had chocolate today. I normally have at least 2 squares of bitter chocolate with my breakfast, actually. It's a regular routine of mine. It's just kind of, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Whatever. It's all good. How you doing anyway, Angus?
Yeah, it's great. Actually, I haven't had any chocolate today, so that's not good, is it? But I did manage to go for a run, so I think the two have to go hand in hand. Or else, one of the biggest questions people always ask me is, "Hey, Angus, why aren't you like 5 miles wide? You eat all the chocolate you like, blah blah blah." But I think it's like everything. It's someone's got to do this job. It's hard work. You got to keep yourself in trim, do lots of running, keep my teeth sorted out. I got them all capped so I could eat lots of sweets. So basically took them all the tops off. So that's all done. So yeah, no, it's great to be on your show and I'm loving it. I've been watching some of the previous shows you've done and it's really cool. So I hope I can I think you could be right here. We're going to have a very interesting conversation. Let's see how deep we can go.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I just want to kind of start because I know that you've been I know that you got into publishing early on. 36 years, I think you've been in the publishing game. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that was kind of like around, I was going to say Kennedy's journaling publishing company. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was. I used to live in Muswell Hill in North London. Used to love it. Great place, fantastic place. But I came from a rather different family or background from many people. I didn't really go to school very much. My mum was an alcoholic. She was drinking most of the time. So if I was lucky, I could have a conversation with her while she was sloped over an IBM self-correcting typewriter. And that was really, I had a very different type of child life, when about 10. And then my father died when I was 10 of cancer. And so I was one of these guys that just had to fend for myself, really. And it was it was a blessing. I mean, I think a lot of people sort of say, "Oh no, you poor guy." No, actually, no. It was meant to happen, or it didn't happen. So I'm a great believer and very stoic about things. And I was kind of bought into the publishing company because it was going to collapse. So they needed someone to do it. So ever since the age about sort of 17, 18, I haven't done much else. But since then, since it's a magazine about chocolate.
Was the magazine was it run by your father before? Is that what it was?
Yeah. So we used to have loads of weird and wonderful things like Turkey Monthly and all sorts of weird magazines. It was like crazy. Ice cream manufacturer, the Chemistry and Industry Buyer's Guide, patents journals. It was quite a big company, it was all right. And then my father, bless his heart, he passed away. And then I think we ended up with this tiny little leaflet, which was a confectionery journal that had been going since 1890. And that was it. That was the only one that survived. So I went into the publishing game very young. I mean, I was literally going out to trade shows at the age of 12, meeting people like Boyd Tunnock of Tunnock's Confectionery. So I really know the industry extremely well. I mean, I've been traveling around chocolate factories all my life. And if it wasn't when I was professional, it was with my mum, bless her heart, propping her up in between her having a few drinks,
Alcohol and chocolate always go down pretty well. Not that I'm an expert, of course, of mixing the two together, but it kind of sounds kind of cool, but I wouldn't do it every day. Anyway, interesting. So got into publishing and then you became a expert in kind of, chocolate tasting and stuff like that. Cause I mean, I've seen some of the cool videos that you've been on, like some of the road shows, some of the food and drink conferences. I think there was, you've been kind of all over the shop as such and whatever it is. I mean, why chocolate? I mean, I'm just curious. What is it about chocolate that really kind of fascinates you?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I accumulated this vast knowledge, after 30 years. And then I was always just an editor and there wasn't really much to it. And I'm thinking, this is a bit boring, just magazines. I don't I hate selling advertising. I've done that for a long time.
Sure.
So, and I sort of kind of started doing a lot more soul searching. And I've done a lot of that anyway, but just add to it. And I realized that there was a position available for a go-to for the media in the confectionery world. There wasn't actually a chocolate taster. And I'm a great believer that you don't apply for the best jobs in the world. You create them. You create your wealth. You create your success. And I haven't passed a single exam in my life and I've written 8 books. It's like crazy. So I'm a living example of just whatever anyone tells you, just tell them to go and, I'm going to do it anyway. And that's kind of how I got into this thing. And it all started off with a journalist from the Times who wanted a story. It was a very long time ago, about 15 years ago. And he said, "Oh, Angus Kennedy, he's ideal. Why haven't we, where did he come from?" So I got plucked out of a trade show. And ever since I was in the Times, then the Sun, the Daily Mail, they went berserk, Meet the Real Life, Willy Wonka, Eat Your Heart Out. Bang, I was off to Hollywood. It was crazy, honestly, Adam. It was mad. It's like, wow. And that's a great example of creating your own future out of something you really fundamentally don't like. And I think if you're in a situation where you're stuck in a rut, I think you've got to look around you and think, well, what have I got? What knowledge have I got? What can I do with this because it's obviously I'm supposed to be here because I've been here for 30 years. So there must be something I'm missing. There must be something I haven't realized that's an opportunity. And that's kind of what I really believe now is very, very positive message of, I know so many people that are telling to me now, Angus, oh my God, what are you doing? Like this is a big leap. And I'm saying, well, why don't you do it? Why don't you take a leap of faith? If you hate your job, just do it, because you're going to get to, well, actually I'm 57 now. So yeah, I'm starting thinking, my God, I've got 10 years left. That's probably it. And then I'm going to be old, grey. I won't be able to see anything. And, I need to get moving. I need to get moving and doing stuff and really getting them dreams in order because you don't want to die with your dreams undreamed, unrealized.
True. I got a question because I know that we've spoken off air and it was quite a fascinating conversation. Yeah. And I know that you obviously took over the family business at really a very young age. 17 years old is a very young age to take over a business. But would you say, what was the reasons why you decided to take on the business when in actual fact, it sounds to me, and it probably sounds the same as the audience, that you really didn't want to do it. Does that make sense? It's kind of this fine balance. What was the real kind of, is it because you didn't want to let the family down? What was going through your mind when you made that decision?
It was really, my mum was on her own. The bailiffs were at the door and there was no choice. I had to do something. So, bless her heart. I have got nothing wrong to say about her. I looked after her to the day she died, all that sort of thing. And that was my mission, if you like. But I could see things were really collapsing. There were bailiffs at the door, and my mum would say, "Angus, can you answer that one?" It's like, who is it this time? And so I realised, this isn't good. This isn't good. So I thought, well, I've got to do something. My brother managed to get a scholarship, to a really good boarding school. And then I was just left at home. I was the dropout. I was the failure. All the teachers said you're useless, and just about everyone, wherever I went, said, "Oh, you'll never make it." I didn't get into all the good schools and all this sort of stuff. Well, I thought, well, I can help me mum. It's like, well, I'll do that. And so I went in, and I kind of one of these people that spent a lot of my life giving a lot to people. And I do think that after you've done that, for all your life, there does come a point where you got to realize, Jesus, crikey, if I keep giving to other people, it's wonderful, but I've forgot about myself. And as we were talking offline the other day, I think everyone needs to do that. They need to think, well, what am I doing for myself? It's lovely helping other people, but if you just carry on like that, you're just going to end up just burning out. And so I went into the business because I had to rescue this business. And so I thought, oh, crikey, this is all about selling. Publishing is about selling, really. Some people think it's about great writing. No, it's not. It's about selling an ad, and writing them a lovely story and lick their boots. You know what I mean? That's publishing for you. You know what I mean? It's got nothing to do with good content. So so I did this thing, had my own column, which was ridiculous. I couldn't really write properly at those days, but I learned to write. The thing is, I had to write about vertical form fill screw technology, or the most boring, absolute, let's say, pillow packs, for example, or extrusion technology. I had to write about this stuff for 25, 30 years. So that's how I learned to write, because I was writing about the most boring content you could possibly find. And therefore, I learned how to write. So in a kind of weird way, even though I went to this business, I learned a lot of skills that are very useful now. But I did go in there, Adam, to save the day. And I did it quite well. I went to Germany. I learned fluent German, came back. All the clients, half of them were German, so they loved it. And bingo, we were off. And so I learned, I can sell. I can sell anything, which is a great skill to have. They don't teach you that at school, do they?
No, they don't. I absolutely agree with you on that 100%. So you become like, you were known as like the confectionery king as such, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you created, that brand name, that, you know what I mean? That was the fame name that you wanted to create out of it, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've always wanted to. I've got a big voice, this sort of thing, Adam. I love this thing. I'm just made for it, And every time I go on television and say, "Oh, Angus, you should be a presenter. You should do this." Well, I know. Give me a chance, But every time, so I've always had this voice. I've written 8 books. I'm writing a book at the moment, and I've got a voice to help people. I want to help people. I want to help people and kind of show the journey of how to get out of the rat race and just get on with living your dreams. So for the business, for all its failures and for all my failures, has got me to the perfect point of where I am today, to make some big decisions that I've had to make quite recently. But publishing is a tough game. You got to be really, really good at it to survive now. And I don't think many people are actually surviving it. Well, actually, how many professions are going to survive right now? It's a pretty interesting time.
It's interesting with the old publishing game. I mean, I absolutely agree with you. It's the same with some industries which are really struggling and stuff. But, I'm a big believer in adaptability and being nimble. We've all got to embrace digital, as you know, and that's just the way to go. And I know that some magazines, like, some of the big famous ones, Angus, they've just gone all digital now. They don't do any print magazines. You don't go, It's not like you go to the local newsagent now and pick up a magazine because it's unavailable now. It's just online.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, if you're in a job and you really don't like it, I mean, the thing is, you've got skills and there's a reason why you're there. And I think if you dig deep enough, like I did, I think you can actually discover the reason why you're in a job that you hate. It is possible. And I've done it. And this thing about, creating your future, you got to work on it, or else you're just going to stay in that job forever. And this is a really big part of my story right now is, come on, let's just do something and move on and make that big decision to get out of something you fundamentally haven't really enjoyed and you got put into a family business. I mean, I know loads of people have got into family businesses, not really what they want to do, and I've got 5 kids, Adam, as you know, and I've said to them, for God's sake, if I've got this right, you will never go into publishing, never. That's my objective. I think parents are always about to prevent the pain that they went through or the difficulties, to try and get a smoother road, across, into something. So for me, the really interesting part of my career now is it's kind of restarting itself. I think we are a bit like snakes. We can shed our skins and do things again, even at 57, like I am. God, if I can make it out by me,
I want to, it's interesting because, there's a couple of points there, because you said that you're writing your 9th book, essentially, which is all about taking your dreams and turning them into kind of, action plan. But then, so even when we were speaking offline, when you went into the publishing business at the age of 17, and it wasn't something that, your heart wasn't in it. You didn't enjoy it. No. It wasn't you. It wasn't the Angus Kennedy that you wanted it to be. It's a bit like going into, it's a bit like having a job, right? And the reason why some people will have a job is because they feel like they just need to be able to pay the bills. Does that make sense? And so they join the rat race of, going into the office, and it's a bit like Bill Murray's Groundhog Day, right? Kind of getting stuck in this cycle. From your perspective, do you feel like, when we talk about dreams, love, passion, aspirations, I'd love to know more about, how that particular book that you're writing about is linked to your experience in what you've done over the last 36 years, because you've been doing something which you've absolutely detested, right? Which you've only really just realized, for fuck's sake. I mean, come on. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this? I'm just, I love to shake a tree, and ruffle a few feathers.
Yeah, no, you're spot on there, Adam. You're spot on. I think, a lot of us go into work and we sort of think, oh, we'll do that for a bit. And then, work is very clever. Someone will say, oh, if you carry on a bit, next year we'll move you up a bit. We'll call you a manager. Oh, go on then. And then, we'll get your car. And, the whole thing is designed to basically mind hijack you so that you think it's great to get up at 9 o'clock in the morning to go to, I'm not going to swear because, it's not my style, but, blah, 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 work. You think that it's normal and enjoyable to sit on the M25 and fight for a parking space. It's no bigger than a car bench. Put a bench in a park. And if you actually think about your life, Jesus, it's so shit. What are we doing? I mean, humanity's lost their brains. Or at least they've been diverted somewhat. So anyway, going back to your question about this book, I've always had a bit of a voice, and I love writing. I don't mind if it's not published. I don't care. When I'm dying, someone will find it in a cellar or attic and think,
no.
But I haven't got a publisher for this one. I've got a publisher for my last one, but I want to see if I can find a new publisher because this is a very different type book. So about 3 years ago, Adam, things were really bad. I was really, really, really pissed off with my job. I really genuinely hated it. I mean, I couldn't stand the smell of the boxes of the magazines. I couldn't go into the office. I had to literally force myself in because I'm the boss. I've got to look happy and motivate everyone. It's my business. So the worst thing you can do is create. I realized I was my own jailer, really. You get very good at something. You're good at motivating people. You're good at writing, and then all of a sudden, Angus Kennedy is one of the best publishers in Kent. Oh no, I don't want to be the best. I want to be the worst. just get me out, just get me bankrupt. Just God. But I had to because I got family. I got 5 children. So, a lot of dads, a lot of mums, they've got children. They've got to get the money, got to pay the rent, and that is what is so difficult. We get good at a job. And we can't get out because we're earning the money and then the rent comes in, the mortgage. And if you don't pay the mortgage in 6 months, your house is gone. And that is so tough. It's perfectly constructed for humans to be controlled. And so everything. And then I started to think about this whole thing about control, about humanity. It's really serious. It's not good and it's not getting any better. So I thought, well, what can I do? How can I help people? So how can I help myself? So I started writing this book called Make It Happen. And because things were just not happening for me. So I decided I've read all the self-help books. I've read them all. You know what? They don't work. You read them and it says, oh, do this exercise, 5 times a day, mantra, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, I've done that. Well, I'm still broke. And they don't work, do they? I mean, I've like you've done a lot of sport. I've won Henley. I've rode for England and stuff. And I didn't read any books. I just bloody did it, because I was passionate. And so all these books are kind of designed to make you buy more books, or go on the conference and come and talk to these people. I went to one conference about how to become a writer, and I've never seen such a bunch of people who were more hopeless at becoming writing than anyone I've ever met. I thought, oh my God, I can't. This is not what writers should do. They should be sitting there writing good content at home, not going to conferences. So I started writing this book. I've tried everything and I'm still stuck. It's 30. It was by that time it's 36 years, still in a job that I hated so much. It's like the bells of Notre Dame ringing through my bone marrow. It was so bad, Adam. I couldn't. I was so screwed in the head. I was really bad. I mean, I was just holding it together, and I didn't care what happened. I got to a stage where, creativity stops where fear begins, and I was starting to get scared of losing the money, all this stuff. So I wrote my way to freedom, and the book, even if it just helps me being selfish, this book has I put down 4 things. These 4 things I've been trying to solve all my life, and they're not being solved. So I wrote my way to freedom to make them happen, and that's how I did it. I just kind of, as you know, I'm taking some very brave decisions now, and I think when you write or you take a walk or you walk around a park, or everybody's got to have that release. Like mine is writing. Other people may be running or, sport's a big one. Obviously, it's a really good one for meditating and, the repetitive movement you're running and stuff. It's wonderful. So I wrote down, okay, here's 4 things that have just not happening. And I started writing the book and 1, 2, 3 of them have happened. It's just amazing. Sure. That's like awesome. Like, it sends a chill down my spine. It's like, which means that my job, my goal, like I said, okay, What's my goal? My goal is to when I interview, because I've interviewed like yourself a lot of people. I know a lot of famous and a lot of very, very rich people. I sort of say to them, you know, what's it like? How did you do this? And they said, well, it's just beyond my wildest dreams. That was when it clicked. So that means you were unable to imagine how good it was. Yeah, because it's beyond my dreams, which means what's the point dreaming about anything? So that was like the big click point for me, which means there's a greater force than me that knows that something's way beyond what I'm able to achieve. And I have to have, I don't know, it sounds, I'm not religious, but it was kind of just, you've got to have faith. You've got to just go for it and just take the leap of faith like the lemmings do and jump off and go for it. Because if you haven't got that strong faith, and when I hear the word faith, I sort of think, oh, he's a bit religious, you know, but I'm not. That's just the strength within to say, I've had enough and I don't care what happens, because I believe that there's a force way greater than I am that will take me beyond my dreams because I can't possibly imagine them. So there's no point in me imagining it. I'm just going to allow the process of change to happen. So I got through all these things in this book. It's like allow, accept, and I was getting all this stuff in my head. It was amazing. Like, because I don't really feel I write. I feel I channel. You probably know a bit about it. It's kind of a bit deep stuff. I mean, how deep do you want to go? But I don't think I've written the book. I think it's already been written, and I think I'm just delivering it. And I think I've practiced it in previous lives, and you know, it's kind of a bit weird, really. But the book has already been written in another life, and I believe in parallel realities and all this sort of stuff. So. And it's so which helps when you're writing, because it does make you a bit more of an interesting writer. It's not just a self-help book. So 3 of these things have happened, and the first thing I wrote, I was writing this chapter. It's like, okay, come on then, make it happen, because I was so pissed off. I thought, I've got to get my anger out. Sport isn't working. Nothing's working. My brain's just going to burst with just frustration. So I just wrote this chapter, and it's like, okay, 4 things that will never happen. I don't believe they'll ever happen, and I need to apply to a greater force for myself. So I had this Land Rover 110 station wagon. I don't know if any of your listeners have got one, but they're the sort of thing you don't want to take to Sainsbury's car park. 30% steering circle. Oh yeah. So I really didn't like this car, and it was like that right angle seat, and you're upright, and it's really uncomfortable. I couldn't sell it. I don't know the market and auto trade it for a year. So anyway, to cut long story short, I was writing a book. I said, oh, why don't we I just put it as a joke. I'd like to sell this car. So I was typing, I'd like to sell this car because it's just really uncomfortable, and I could really do with that cash, blah, blah, blah. So I had it in for 24,000, and I really needed the money at that time. The next morning, a guy phones up, and it was an army sergeant, a really, really nice bloke. And he says, oh, hello, Mr. Kennedy. Well, great. Well, come along, blah, blah, blah. He said, I don't know why I'm calling you, but it was always my dream. Always my dream. And I said, like, oh, this is weird. That was his dream. It's my dream to sell it. So he comes around, right? And we're sitting there in the kitchen, and he's going, God, I don't know why I'm doing this, but and he kind of clicks his fingers, and some cadets turn up, and then before I know it, before I had a chance to make a cup of coffee, transferred 24,000 my account, he'd gone. I thought, oh my God, there's something going on here. So I've got to finish this book. So whether or not no one reads it, it's working for me. And that was about 2-3 years ago, and since then some really amazing things started happening when I just allowed them to. It was just that simple. There's no reading or studying or I think people believe in the work ethic. You have to work really, really, really hard. Well, no, I think you have to just stop just getting so stressed out on disallowing yourself to enable your dreams, really, because I was so stressed out. I think I was focusing on what I didn't want instead of wanting what I had, instead of not having what I want. So it's kind of weird process.
That's really interesting, right? So as we're getting to know each other pretty well, one of the things that really come across to me, and it was really apparent in our first conversation, is that you've been doing something that you've not really enjoyed doing because you fell into it, right? And but then I kind of get the impression that it's turned you into a bit of an angry rebel. It's like kind of. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean by that? And not in a bad way, but it's it's like I'm so pissed off with myself because it's like I've been doing all of this stuff for everybody else, yet I've sacrificed my own health, happiness, wealth, fun, and freedom for the sake of others. And it's like, I mean, what's your take on this? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think the thing is, like people in the press were saying to me, Angus, you've got the best job in the world. You taste chocolates. And, it's like, you know the press. I know the press. I'm sure a lot of your audience know the press. They need a good story. Angus is Willy Wonka. They won't accept the fact that he's publishing and he actually hates his job. No, we've got the real life Willy Wonka. Let's get him on TV. Let's do this and let's get some chocolates and have a lovely day. And we all love chocolate, which is great, but it's all quite superficial. I mean, chocolate. Yeah, sure. I mean, any of your viewers could ask me anything, and I would answer it about chocolate. I know absolutely everything about it. And it's 50% sugar and it's 50% fat. It's not very healthy, and it kind of makes you fat, and it's not brilliant. So I mean, I've been doing that for most of my life, making people fat and promoting it. Brilliant. Well, that's great, Angus. What a great job you've been doing then. When obesity levels are rising and sugar is addictive and all this sort of stuff and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, oh, God, this isn't even a very ethical job, going around promoting people to eat sweets. It's like, this isn't Willy Wonka. This is not good. People were telling me you got this great job, but the real Angus Kennedy was like hiding inside and just desperate to express himself. And I think we're all like that in some way. And I took kind of like what you said about being angry. I was angry with myself for not realizing, 10 years ago, to just listen to myself. You don't like the job, we'll do something about it. Just relax. But I didn't. And so I think this book or the process by which I'm going through now is really good thing, because I'm going through what most people are experiencing right now, which is just a shit time, and perhaps I could help people with my insights and my public speaking and things like that, and reinvent myself to help people. And if I can do that and be on TV and then to get paid to do something I actually enjoy, wow, that would be an amazing experience, because I haven't done that yet.
So I know that you recently, we can say it anyway, you recently sold your publishing company now, so congratulations. Thank you. That's kind of cool. But in terms of the chocolatiering side of stuff, is that also going with it, or are you kind of?
Well, actually, something very interesting happened about a year ago. We because of my profile is quite high in the chocolate media world. I can safely say, I can't say who they are, but I approached a quite well-known television producer and said, hey, why don't you just do, Angus in the chocolate factories, or, some kind of Willy Wonka lives in a jungle? And they said, hey, great idea, So things were happening for me alongside, the business. And when I realized there was a small chance, even just a tiny bit of light at the end of that tunnel to live my dream, that was a point at which last Friday, I sold that business after 38 years. That was a family business, family silver is gone. And it's like really weird. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've got no idea how I'm going to earn money. All my family have lost their jobs. Oh shit, Angus, what have you done? So I've sold it. It's gone. So I've got to do something. I've got to, now the pressure's on. I'm sitting in a house here. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to afford it. But I think if you really, really don't like something, you can't worry about those sort of things. You've just got to get on and have faith and just say, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Well, we'll sell the house and we'll go and farm sheep in, I don't know, in Brittany or something. Why not? I mean, it's still better, it's still better than going to a school run with 5 kids and hate their homework and all that shit.
I was going to say to you, did you ever watch that? One of the, there was I think it was like a 4-part documentary, and you probably would have definitely known this. It was probably good going back about 4 or 5 years ago. And there was this chap who was actually, he had a farm it was like something like Ecuador or Colombia. It was a cacao farm, and it was called Willy's.
I know him very well. He's a friend of mine. He's called Willy Harcourt Coos, and he runs a company. Well, he won't mind me giving a bit of a plug, but he's a lovely guy, and he went on Channel 4, and I can remember talking to him. He said, how did you get the Channel 4 commission? What did he do? That's exactly what I wanted to do. But he got lucky, he got his book, but his business is actually making chocolate. That's what he does. Yes. So he had the opportunity to be a really good media personality. but his main business is selling chocolate. So he did that. Now we went out filming in Ecuador last year, and then COVID came in, and things kind of stopped. But my mission now is to make a television program to find out the real taste of chocolate, because it's not what everyone thinks it is. There's 2.3 million people, children, working in chocolate, it's on my conscience a bit. I know too much, and so I thought, what's a really graphic way of experiencing chocolate in a kind of very non-political way? It'd be, well, let's go and live on a cocoa farm. So this is what I'm going to do now. Is hopefully, if I can raise finances with my new company, will be to film me $1 a day on a donkey farming cocoa in Ecuador. And I've already got the farm. I'm ready to go. The whole family's ready to go. If your listeners look up Angus Kennedy, it was in the Mail on Sunday about going to Ecuador. You probably saw that article about us, and we meant it. We really don't like life here. It's really shit.
By the way, just wanted to let you guys know that are listening in, right? This is not one of those politically incorrect shows where we're going to say that where you are right now is your life is shit, because it's we're all in different journeys. And what I love about Angus is that the fact of the matter is that he's gone through these torrid times of not just adversity, but he's just, coming from a place of realism more than anything else. And what I love about bringing on people like yourself is really kind of living from experience and saying, you know what, I've been in an industry where, like the chocolate industry, like you've established, okay, as being kind of all frills and, good tasting. But really there's the dark side of an industry, which you've discovered. And it sounds to me like you really want to kind of open it up a little bit, like Pandora's box a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, I know a lot of people who are very high up in the industry, and it's not my job to expose or to do anything like that. It's really just because I've met cocoa farmers, and I've seen them sweating out in the jungle. It's a tough game,
job.
And I've been to these cocoa farms, and this is where our chocolate comes from. It's fundamentally wrong. So there have been about 8 or 9 schemes, to alleviate child labor, blah blah blah. Anyway, all that sort of stuff. Well, guess what? They haven't worked. They haven't worked.
True.
So it's still a multi-billion-pound industry. But if I was to go and be a cocoa farmer, I'm not saying this is right or this is wrong. I'm just going to experience the life of a cocoa farmer and live the life that they do. And that's all I'm going to do. I might find that actually, do you know what? This is way better than going down the M25. I love it. Let's get the donkey and go. And so it could actually be okay. So we've got production company ready. So my next mission now, actually from last Friday, is to raise investment to make this television program or a documentary or whatever you
documentary. I love that. Listen, guys, I hope that you can help Angus in his should we say mission of creating that documentary of or chocumentary, as we say.
Like what you're saying, the whole experience of leaving the country in a very, very extreme way. And we've been offered land in Ecuador. I got offered 100 acres of jungle because the government heard about my story. And then before I knew it, I was just a Maidstone dad with 5 kids. And then I was out having dinner with the vice president. It's like, oh my God. It's like life can change. Okay. Whoever's listening, that look, you can do it. Because like, a month before I had no idea I'd be flying out to Ecuador having, they closed the zoo for us for a private viewing. And so you can do it. You can do this stuff. And, I just think you've got to be bold and come out and be creative. And it's creativity, as that makes money, isn't it? It's not someone. I was having a laugh with someone the other day saying, "Oh, I've got a job," and I said, "Oh, great. Do you know what job stands for? Just over broke. Brilliant. Great. Decided to just you go in and keep funding the banks who just, I'm not going to say anything about banks, but there you go. But I think we need to experience more spontaneity, more freedom. I don't know. Just we've all just got to just do what we feel a bit more. and just do it, whatever that is, how we behave, whatever we do, whoever we speak to, and just start, because this decision I made was massive. I've been in the industry for 38 years and I've just sold it. I didn't sell it if it was a shit price, but I was so determined. I mean, a team of wild horses wouldn't get me back in there. So I've done it. And I feel great. I've got no money. I mean, but I feel brilliant. It's great. I mean, I might lose the entire house. I've got no job. Brilliant. I mean, but I'm free. I'm a free man. And no one can take that away from me. I'm a free man. And that is something I wanted to say for years and years and years.
Any final thoughts to some of our listeners that are listening in, and you know, because I mean, your story is quite, I think it's very interesting. And it's kind of it's a bit like, you know, the so-called experts in the personal development world that preach a particular way in which you can create success in your business or as an entrepreneur or whatever it is. You've gone through the huge hardships of not doing exactly that, right? Yeah. And suffering the consequences as part of that, because that's what you've done. You've suffered the consequences as part of that. But now you're kind of celebrating the huge win of letting it all go and just say kind of up yours to the universe and saying, and kind of Monty Python style. It's like, you know what, I'm done with this. This is time for me now and fun and freedom. And did any sort of final thoughts to some of our listeners about, you know, if people are going through, you know, a tough time, or even if people have got, I mean, I know that a lot of our listeners that are listening in, I know that they've gone through I call it the entrepreneurial roller coaster, right? We've gone through that. I've been on it many, many times. But any sort of final thoughts and any sort of advice for some of our listeners on that?
Well, I think obviously you've got a lot of great listeners, and a lot of them have done very well for themselves. So, you know, I'm sure they'll remember the time that they took that break that you know, I've taken or tried to take it a few times. But I think the main thing is you just got to want what you have instead of to have what you want. I mean, I don't have anything at the moment. I mean, I don't have a job, but you know, most of the time we're just obsessed with just getting a job. But actually, that's not really going to make you happy. Now I don't have one, and I'm the happiest man in the world. So I think we just got to look at what we really want. Was it freedom? Is it happiness? Is it you know, and these sort of things, and try and focus on those. But also the other interesting thing for me is really allowing yourself to become. I know it sounds a bit simple in simple terms, but if I had kept on publishing, I wouldn't have known who I was, and therefore have to come back and live 100 new lives. I don't want to do that again. I'm not coming back to this planet. It's just so shite. You know, I'm not coming back. I'm a very old soul. I believe in that. This is my last life. I've done loads of stuff in the past, but I think, you know, just to go through that process of allowing yourself to be who you are, and that is it really, and accepting that you are the one that's made those mistakes on the way, and accepting, embracing. And if you just do that, start off with, I promise you guys that you just accept that you're the one that you know, kind of, okay, you know, you kind of fucked up at the beginning, but it doesn't matter, because you had to get to the great person you are. And another final thing is, like, you know, people who are applying for jobs or whatever, doing things, well, it was a good thing you didn't get that job. It was a good thing that didn't happen, because you're so much greater and you can get something so much better. And that's the way to think. If something you fail, hang on a minute, you can get something way better than that, which is why it wasn't a failure. It was a path to something way better than you could possibly imagine. And that's the road that I'm on, and that's where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I know it's going to be good, because I feel good already, Adam. I feel good.
Love it. Very good. I suppose the other thing from my perspective as well is, and again, I think we all, like you said, we're all on a particular journey. And one thing that I've realized, actually, you know, we all got business values and personal values, and that your personal values, essentially, you need to live by them every day, right? Without excuses. They make sure that they're congruent with what you do. And otherwise, you know, if you don't live by those values, it's going to lead to that unhappy life unfulfilled life like you've been living for God knows how many years. And, you know, and for you, even though you've just kind of made this realization that actually that, you know, values are very, very important and how we live by them. You know, you've managed it. And you can't really say, from my perspective, you can't really say, well, you know, I don't have anything. Well, not necessarily. I mean, you've got huge amounts of experience. You've got your family. You've got a house. You've got so much to be thankful for it. And I'm sure you would agree with me. Yeah. And, you know, from a gratitude perspective, you know, and, you know, and I just think about all the businesses that didn't make it, especially in the first 5 years, which is, I don't know, 90% of them anyway. You managed to do it. All right, fair enough. It wasn't a business that you didn't pick and want to be in. But so I think maybe some of our listeners might sort of say, well, why didn't he do this? And why didn't he do that? And I suppose my sort of answer to that really is, Angus, is the fact of the matter is that, you know, we all make choices. You know, we've all made choices in our life, whether it be my choices might seem a ridiculous choice to maybe someone like you or somebody else. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. It might be right or wrong to the other individual, but it's whatever you feel is right or wrong at that point in time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and thinking and stuff. So I don't know, maybe if you're enjoying some of our conversations, guys, by the way, and you want to reach out to myself or Angus or whatever it might be, because I know we're going to be putting this on, we're streaming everywhere. But listen, if you're living through a tough time or you're not doing with this, which is congruent with what you're doing or with your values, and you need a bit of help, do us a favor, reach out to us on the show. And we're here to help at the end of the day. We love helping people. We love helping entrepreneurs and business owners. And, you know, for us, it's all about being real, right? Real, authentic. We're not, and I know what you might be thinking. You're thinking, oh, hang on a second. I've heard all before. Listen, genuinely, like we are definitely for me and for Angus, we like to help people. And Angus has really shown that over the last sort of 36 years. He's put other people first before himself. And so maybe not sort of you have to be selfish to be kind type of thing. But in all fairness, you know, we still enjoy helping people. So listen, Angus, just want to say thanks very much for being on the show. We really appreciate it, and I hope you've hope you've had some hope you got some stuff off your chest today, young man.
Yeah, well, it was a real pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for having me on. Great show. Can't wait to carry on watching it. And I really hope that our conversation together is, you know, perhaps, you know, even if just one person goes, you know, we've done something, and that's all that matters, really. As you say, life is tough, but, you know, but I'm a great believer. If you make a tough decision, and we all come to them, we all make tough decisions, at that point, I firmly believe that the universe will deliver, as long as you stick to that. We should be right. So.
Very cool. Very good. Listen, guys, hope you've enjoyed this week's show. We'll be back again next Wednesday, 6 p.m. British Standard Time on Wednesdays. And we'll see you up on the next show. So from me and Angus, we'll see you soon. Take care, guys.
Hey, you guys, I just want to say thank you so much for listening in to this episode of the Game Changers Experience. I hope that you got some amazing value, some great insights, and golden nuggets that you can implement into your business straight away. I would really, really appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review on the button below. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.